you like to go straight to questions today?
Happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Ready for questions.
Go far away.
What have you learned about this rivalry since you got to Clemson, and how excited are you to take part in it for the first time?
Well, obviously first time being a part of it. I think what I've learned is it's highly passionate and a lot of strong emotions, a lot of strong feelings both directions, which is awesome. Been in some similar situations and not really surprised by that, but love having the opportunity. Been in some places that didn't have a rivalry like this, and it definitely is a special thing, and it's neat to be a part of. And when you don't have it, you miss it, and when you do, you're really blessed to be a part of it. So excited to be my first pump in the ball.
Last year, the Stellars led the Gamecocks in rushing yards, and every single guy today has been here talking about just what an elite athlete he is. How do you anticipate on slowing him down this Saturday?
Well, it's pretty obvious, that his skill set and what it is. He's a tremendously gifted athlete, and you better have a good plan for that. So anytime you have a player on the team you're about to play that can take a game over single-handedly with whatever skill set he has, then you better do a great job of being able to address that. So that's obviously going to be our focus without question. I was able to watch the film from a year ago and to see how that played itself out. And so it was pretty obvious pretty quickly that he was a major player in all of that. So I just think that, he definitely has our attention and has our respect, and we know he's going to play his best football.
How soon after you got here was that on your radar? And
pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Pretty quickly.
Can you share
Well, I just think, when you talk about, obviously from a time perspective, it hadn't been that long, since the game was played. And then, just talking to Coach and his passion for wanting to create change, and stopping the run. And I think then you had that situation to point to and to watch and see, and even with our players, just been able to use it as, different means of motivation throughout the offseason to be able to help us be where we need to be, in certain areas. So, I just think it was a fresh wound, I guess that's probably the way to say it, when I got here. And so definitely something that we know we have to have an answer for.
You've been a part of the Old Oak and Bucket rivalry, which is fun, one of the most intense. And, when you got here, got to meet a lot of the Clemson fans and talk to people, how much did they mention this rivalry and how important it was?
Oh, yeah, there's no question. So, being at Ole Miss and the Egg Bowl, that was next level, okay? And then, like you said, the last 8 years, being at Indiana and the Old Oak and Bucket there, that's an in-state. You actually had two in-state rivalries. One that people may not address, but when I was at Wabash back in 2007 and playing for the Monon Bell Trophy, which at that level, it's Division III football, but man, DePaul and Wabash, what an amazing atmosphere. I mean, just absolute passion, and I use the word hatred, it's probably accurate for all the ones we're talking about, between the fan bases. But anyway, so you had different levels, but the passion is the same. So, man, you get here and it's, I guess it became pretty clear, from our head coach on down that this was important, and winning this game changes a lot of things, and the opposite is very true. And so you got a whole year you got to deal with it, in a positive or in a negative, So I just think that that's why these are so unique. Not everybody has one. To come from a place that didn't really have like a rivalry like this, we're a place I just came from. And so definitely, you're here, you're kind of like, when you say it, people are like, really? They just assume everybody has, one. And obviously you have a situation here, we got two teams in the same state, just like we had at Ole Miss, just like we had at Indiana. So I just think that's why these rivalries are so special, and there's so much passion involved, and people have different perspective on it. Some people, it's more of a, it's a game, and they love the competition piece, and some of them it's way more serious than that, So, but I get it, I really truly do, and so I believe our players do as well, especially when you have guys that are from the state, and they know the passion that flows on both fan bases sides, and obviously the pride that is instilled and takes place when you have opportunity to win these kind of games. So yeah, big deal for us, and biggest game of the season because it's the next one, but we also know who we're playing.
Dad always talking about you maybe switched up meetings a little bit to try to alleviate or I guess improve communication. Like, what did you guys actually change?
Yeah, so just basically just wanted all three groups, our safeties, our corners, our nickels, all to be in the same room together, and had done that at times on some certain things, but felt like that doing that all the time, so that happened after the Duke game, and so been doing it ever since, and so just really, truly making sure that there was just zero communication issues, everybody hearing the exact same thing, on each one of the calls, and what this guy's doing, that doing. Like I said, we had done that at times, but just went to wholesale. All the meetings were that way once we broke off as a unit together, and so just felt like that's incrementally and systematically helped and be able to eliminate those busts and allow our guys, and there's obviously time involved, but at the same time I just think you can't get what you emphasize in that regard. So it was an area we needed to address, and so we did, and we've obviously seen some positive outcomes of that for sure.
And with that said, just because I've watched the game a lot of times through binoculars, it looks like you've streamlined the communication on the sideline during games too, and getting play calls in. Am I wrong, right?
Yeah, so basically, when you call, defensively, you have the whole trying to, get as much information as you can prior to making your call, right? And so that also involves, do you delay your call so they can't get a chance to see what you're signaling in, so they have a chance to figure out what the signals are? And so just all those things you're trying to work through. What I really tried to do was just make sure, okay, guys, let's just make sure our guys get the call in as quickly as they can so they can make sure they can communicate, get their cleats in the ground, and have no issues. Because basically when we were having some of our issues, you had some guys that maybe with a motion or adjustment or whatever, something moved, and you had some communication that has to take place because of that movement. And so I think that's helped us alleviate those issues, so you get the call in faster, let the guys know what they're going to be running, start communicating, and then when movement happens, they're already got their cleats in the ground, ready to roll, and they can make those adjustments there. So yeah, there's no doubt, just trying to do what I can do to make it easier on them, to be able to streamline the communication and help them execute better. And it's helped us for sure.
You mentioned all three groups being in those rooms together, secondary wise. Is that you presiding over that, or how's that work?
No, so what we do is that Thomas Allen, who's knows this system inside and out, he's been the one overseeing those, and that way allows me to be with the linebackers where I really want to be, and I've obviously been in and out of those meetings, but at the same time be able to have everybody on the same page with that, and that way you get that one voice. And then obviously you have your position coach for each one of those groups, but it was be able to have everybody hearing the same thing, all the checks and adjustments, and it's just really seemed to help a lot. So definitely the direction we went, and talked about that with coach, and it's been super positive.
Anybody else for Coach Allen?
With the injury to Lawson, just what's your expectation for someone like Mayo who kind of steps up to that rotation now?
Opportunity, challenged them with it yesterday. And I think there's several other guys as well. But the bottom line is when somebody goes down, then hate it for him, hate it for us. But at the same time, it's part of this game. And when that situation occurs, somebody else gets an opportunity to step up and take those reps. And so to me, we'll obviously make adjustments from that. But at the same time, you got a lot of guys that spend a lot of time in this program. They work extremely hard. And I've seen it happen in the past where either young guys, old guys, whatever their age is, when something happens like this, you get an opportunity to step up and you got to take advantage of it. And sometimes those windows don't ever come back, but this is one for those guys to take advantage of. May will be one of them. And I'm excited to see them have a great week of preparations that we can put in position to have success on game day.
How much of an asset has Corey Gibson been in the secondary since he started playing?
Yeah, I tell you, I'm so proud of him, and he'd come to me and wanted to have a chance to what can I do to play more, and so we talked about different things, and so we had the opportunity to get him some reps at our nickel earlier in the season, and as he grew in that role and started learning it and understanding it, and that's really a position that a lot of the time our corners would naturally fall into, and so just really, once again, a guy like that got a chance to give him some game reps, and with every game rep he got, he took advantage of it, and he started making plays, and his confidence started growing, and we knew he has talent, and he obviously does, and so he just needed to learn the position, and now he's starting to make plays, and he's playing with an edge about him, and he's playing with a swagger, he's playing with a belief in himself first, which is critical, and then belief in what I'm doing in my calls in the system, and then that be able to create confidence in the guys around you, and they see him making plays, so it's just a continual process of that, and so it's been huge for us. We need him to step up. That's a position that's I don't think it's been as productive as it nearly needs to be, and I want it to be and expect it to be, and so I'm excited excited for him. And then obviously Tink has continued to grow as well. And those guys sharpening each other, having two guys that can be able to make sure they can both do a great job together.
Tom, it's no secret that South Carolina has struggled offensively. They made a play caller change a couple games ago and have been able to unlock a few more explosives. But what have you seen on film from the Gamecocks offensively over the course of the year?
Obviously, anytime you make a change like that, your first thing you go through is, okay, what does that look like on the field? How are they structurally different? Are they calling different plays? Have they changed? You can't change your whole system, obviously, in a matter of weeks. But at the same time, you can see some changes for sure. They're trying to get their athletes the ball in space, and they've been successful doing that. That first half of A&M was impressive, and then what they did last week was impressive as well. And so just they got talented players, and so obviously being able for them to get those guys the ball is obviously their goal, and they're improving up front and doing a better job. And obviously they got an elite playmaker at quarterback. So anytime you got that, you got a chance to be dangerous. So there's no question we got to play our best football, and I'm excited for the opportunity.
What was your portal strategy as a head coach, as a defensive coordinator at Penn State, Indiana? And I know obviously that's not your focus right now, but how do you think that will change or stay the same here?
Well, I just think it's, for me, it's always been a means to be able to address if you got a guy that maybe leaves sooner than you thought he would, or you got you're recruiting and he's not there and doesn't come and you think he's going to come. So just to be able to address the needs that are present on your team. And I think that's where, for me in the past, that's what I've used it for. Never relied on it heavily, but allowed it to be able to utilize it when you needed it per the situation. And so to me, that's my philosophy. And obviously Coach and I have had those conversations, and everything is just allowed us to be able to be in position to improve your roster best you possibly can.
We were able to play a lot of players Saturday. Like Strozier got in a lot. Did anybody kind of catch your eye on film that you go, yeah, okay, now we can see a little bit of this guy, and I think he has a bright future?
Yeah, well, I think Mayo was one of them. We felt like that seeing him close, and I think Ari Wofford had a play where, like, okay, now you see what Ari has. He's obviously come back from an injury, and him have a chance to play. And I think, Fletch, making plays, had a TFL. He's just, to me, he had a great spring. And just to see him have that confidence and make those plays, he's actually right now our number 2, Sam. And so he's one play away, one guy away from being in that role. So I think guys like that, I think Caden Story to me is a guy that showed a burst off the edge. And I want to see that. He's been here several years. It's time for him to step up and take opportunities that are presenting themselves and rise to those. And I also think that, the bottom line is that, we got a lot of young guys. Bunch of guys got to play, and so it was great to be able to get them out there, get a lot of great reps, make mistakes, learn from that, coach off of that, make some plays, be encouraged. But I think even like Brandon Strozier, he's a guy to me that has continued to climb this season, and relying on him obviously on game day, but at the same time he's still young in his development. So bottom line is that great opportunity last weekend to play a lot of guys, and we got to be able to use that momentum for those guys moving forward into this game and then into the bowl prep.
One more here for Coach, if anybody has one.
I guess obviously, can you guys fix the communication issues, you think? But just kind of where is the confidence of the secondary right now, do you think?
Yeah, it's definitely increased. I think after a couple games stretch in there between SMU and Duke was tough, and just a lot of really costly mistakes that were painful, and obviously cost us those games. And you really just, look back on and just really, really bothers you, So, but at the same time, I think to be able to come back these last 3 games and to be able to make some adjustments, make some corrections, and see their confidence grow, and be able to finish out, the Florida State game and finish out the Louisville game, and at critical times being on the field and being the reason why you win those games in those situations, to be able to be the closer you need to be on defense and get those key stops at critical times. And our secondary is a big part of that, And so, but just continuing to grow, and then even last week's game, just continue to play at a high level with our first guys. Just got your younger guys brought along. So I think it's growing for sure. And to me, this time of the season, you better be playing your best football. And so I think as a collective group, we are. And we got to be able to go prove that, show that in a game that matters a whole lot to a lot of people in this room, in this facility, and beyond.
All right, thank you, Coach.
Appreciate you guys. Happy Thanksgiving.